Hey, I wanted to make a video to experiment with microphone placement and how it can affect signal based on where the source is compared to where the mic is and what microphone you're using. The premise of this came because learning about mixing, there's a lot of talk about processing, and I feel like I never took the proper time to learn about what microphone placement can do for you and how recording it and getting it right before any processing can be a time saver. So in this experiment, I used two pretty average mics, the SM57 and a Warm Audio C414 copy. And the idea is to take the same acoustic guitar performance from three different microphone placements with both of those mics individually and see how it affects the sound. And later on, I'm going to also be using the stereo versions of these placements, so I do recommend either using headphones or listening on pretty good speakers. So first, I have the SM57 microphone placements, and the way that it's going to be set up for all of the microphones is there's going to be three microphone placements on the acoustic guitar. It's going to be one at the bottom of the body close to the bridge, two at the sound hole directly, and three right around the 12th fret. So this is for the SM57. So in listening to the SM57's first clip, the results were kind of as I expected, with it being a dynamic microphone and it being placed so close to where most of the resonance of the instrument is coming from. I kind of expected it to have an overbearing low end and a little bit of a shrill top end, and that's kind of what we got. And moving up to the sound hole made it even worse, in my opinion. It made it extremely boomy and boxy with almost like no exciting dynamics at all. So the third mic placement near the 12th fret is where the, in theory, sweet spot is, but with it being the SM57, I noticed that while there is more balance across the frequencies, the top end is a little bit ringy still. It could just be the microphone. I'm not entirely sure. So then next we have the WA14 clone, and with it being a large diaphragm condenser, this was another part of the experiment that I wanted to try, having two different types of microphones. It is a little bit more common to use condenser microphones on acoustic guitar, so the results should be a little bit better, but here's that. So for the first placement with the WA414, I noticed that there was a lot of loud low end and very sharp high end, which just felt a little unbalanced to me, I guess. And the second placement actually surprised me a little bit. I guess I kind of assumed that it would sound better at the 12th fret, but it actually sounded really good by the sound hole. And even getting to the 12th fret clip, I still noticed that there's just the sharp, like the treble was just still a little bit sharp. I don't know. The sound hole one just sounds a little bit better to me, I guess. I once watched a YouTube video where a guy took SM57s to produce an entire track from drums to guitars to vocals, everything. And so that's another reason why I wanted to do that with the SM57. It's just because it's a mic that everyone can get anywhere pretty much. I think they go for like $60 used. And it just proves that you can get things done with just a 57 in your bedroom if you really, really want to, I guess. So overall, I do think the WA414 sounds a little bit better. That sound hole clip with the SM57 was pretty bad. There's just a little bit more dynamics. It just sounds a little more bright, which is how an acoustic guitar should sound. For these next couple of clips, you'll see the same general mic placements with stereo setups. So it'll be two mics, left and right channel, and we'll compare those. So going into the stereo section, the first thing I want to make note of is that I'm a sucker for stereo image, which most people are, and it immediately just sounds so much better to me. And I think that's probably what I expected to happen, but I'm trying not to be biased when I'm saying how I heard these things. The point of the experiment doesn't really have anything to do with exactly stereo imaging. It's more so using the stereo imaging to see how you can make the guitar sound. But I'm trying to remove that aspect from it and not make that overlook all the other placements. So with that being said, for the first stereo placement of the SM57, I think that there's an overall good balance, but the low end can be overbearing for sure at times. And then moving up to the second position, I already noticed the highs are just getting thinner. And that leads into the next clip because even while editing the audio for this video, I noticed that the right channel had a fraction of the signal pickup that the left channel had. So immediately the volume's lower and there's pretty much only signal on the left side. So up that neck like that, I've realized that there's just mostly just high end that you're capturing and none of the like resonance of the guitar. At least with the 57, that is. So then moving into the last set of clips, we have the stereo placements for the WA14. there it is. The stereo image is just beautiful. However, there is some boominess and a little bit of sharpness to the trebles that I don't really like. Probably not the most optimal mic placement. So this second mic placement with the stereo WA14s is my favorite in this video. The one mic is placed between the bridge and the sound hole, just a little bit closer to the bridge, and then the second mic on the right hand side is between the sound hole and the neck heel of the guitar, and the balance between the stereo field of like the lows being on the left side and the highs being perfectly on the right side, it's just a perfect balance, and it sounds pretty beautiful. And then lastly, in the third position with the right channel being further up the neck, there's hardly any low end, but there's a lot of brightness, which I think could be good for some applications, especially in the case of like an acoustic guitar being used in like a pad sense, where maybe it's just one strums on each, double tracked on each side or something like that. I feel like that could work, where you don't really need a lot of that fullness of the one before it had. So that's how I feel about these mic placements and how they sounded. It was my experiment. I feel like I did learn a few things along the way. I'm curious to see if other people hear it differently, though. So to conclude the video, in my opinion, the experiment does weigh in favor of the WA14. It is a little bit more of an expensive mic. It retails at about $324 compared to the SM57's $99. That's hefty for a lot of small recordists and musicians. And while sure, it is a great mic and it obviously can capture acoustic guitar really well, the 57 can also, it also has its place. I feel like, with this video being about finding out what sounds the best without any processing, maybe with a 57 you could take some of these placements, use a little bit of processing, and it'll get you where you want to be. So like I said, overall, the 14 does take the win for the experiment. However, it is a good thing to note that get yourself an SM57. Make stuff. Oh yeah, and then one other thing. These microphone placements were definitely not perfect. I didn't measure them out. There is probably some variation across each clip, and you might even be able to see some. My camera did die during a few of the clips, so I left a little note in the video for that. Yeah. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank Tri-C and the Recording Arts program. I've learned a lot these past 3 years, and it's what I wanted to learn about. Coming out of high school, I didn't really have any direction, and I had more passion than anything, and I feel like I'm many levels ahead of where I was, and that's how it should be. So thank you for helping me get to where I'm at, and I'm excited to keep learning, and I'm sad that my time is coming to an end, but I'm so grateful for all the people that I've met along the way.